Change your heart, change your life, change the planet. Hey everybody, it's TVO on the summit of Mount Anthony in Bennington, Vermont, and I'm powered by Raw Food. I'm out here on a mountain bike ride up the Bluestone Road, which goes here to the summit. It's 4.5 miles of pretty steady grade, about 5 to 7%. But before you get to the Bluestone Road, you've got to take these really steep trails with grades at about 35%. And it was just too much for me to bike up. I couldn't do it. The back wheel just kept spinning, and if I tried to lean back on the back wheel, I'd just pop a wheelie and go backwards. So I was getting frustrated because I was in the lowest gear possible, the biggest ring in the back and the smallest ring in the front, and I couldn't make it up the hill. So I was getting frustrated, and there were thoughts going through my head saying, you know, other people could make it up this hill. You're weak, you're out of shape. And I started beating myself up, and then I caught it. I heard it. I stepped back and said, oh, wait a minute, what's that? What's all that chatter? What's all that defeat going on in there? All right, let's step off the bike for a moment and reflect. Rather than having a reflex, let's reflect. So I stood there next to the bike for a moment. I'm like, all right, what's my goal? Goal is to get to the top of the mountain. Does it matter if you get to the top of the mountain on your bike or partially on your feet? Does that matter really in the ultimate grand scheme of things? Nope. So you just want to get to the top of the mountain? Yep. So what if instead of trying to harden the F up and push and grind and dominate this hill, we step off the bike, practice some self-compassion, a little gentleness, and walk up the really steep sections and then bike on the more gradual uphill sections. Because if we try to dominate the steep section, we're not going to make it up the mountain. I don't think I can bike up this section. In fact, I don't think anybody could bike up this section because you just don't get enough traction on the back wheel. I've been using the wrong tool for the job. I've been downshifting and downshifting and downshifting, taking smaller and smaller and smaller steps until I was taking the smallest step possible for a bike. But that was still too big. The smallest step for a bike getting up this hill is still too big. So rather than beating yourself up and saying small steps don't work, step back, take a pause and say, wait a minute, am I using the right tool for the job? Because if I get off the bike, I'm actually going to take a bigger step while walking. The length of that step is going to be bigger, but the effort is going to be significantly reduced. So as far as effort is concerned, it is a smaller step. But as far as moving my feet is concerned, it is a much bigger step. But I'm now using a different tool, a different mode of taking that step. We get stuck in these linear modes of thinking where we believe that we've got to accomplish the task with one tool, whether it's a bike or a hammer. And if the hammer is the tool I've got, well then everything must be a nail. So let me just hammer everything in my path. And you'll see people doing this, and they do a lot of damage to themselves and to others and to the world around them because they try to accomplish the task using one tool, and then they get frustrated when they can't accomplish the task with that tool. So step back and say, wait a minute, not everything is a nail. And a bike is great in some situations. In fact, a bike is better than your feet on flat ground or downhill ground, far superior. But as the hill starts to go up, the bike becomes less and less of an advantage. And then there's a tipping point where suddenly the bike is a significant disadvantage. You've got to get off the bike and you've got to walk or run with the bike. And then things start to get easier again. So if you find yourself in a situation where you can't take another step forward, even though your steps are already the smallest they can be, don't try to take another step forward. Take a step back and look at the tool you're using. Look at the mode that you're operating inside of and say, wait a minute, is this the right tool for the job? Maybe not. Maybe I need to give this tool up for a moment and try this other tool, this other way of being, this other way of moving forward. What is my ultimate goal? Getting there with this tool or getting there? When I get there, does it matter which tool I got there with? Not really. I'm on top of a mountain now, listening to the air conditioners or compressors or whatever they are in the cell phone tower. Climb a mountain, then you got to listen to that. That's fun. So I want you to think about how you might apply this to your life. If you find yourself in a situation where you can't take another step and it's just too hard, step back. Maybe you need a different tool for that job, right? But right now, I've got the perfect tool for this job because I am now going to bike down the mountain with no effort whatsoever. Going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. Okay, I love you guys. And yes, I do have a helmet. I just took it off. I was drinking and relaxing and it was just too hot. So don't worry, I wear a helmet. All right, I love you guys. Bye. So I just finished this amazing trail run up Mount Anthony here in Bennington. And it's a run that almost didn't happen. Because when I got to the parking lot, got out of the car, I looked down at my shoes, and they're my mowing shoes. Like I'd been mowing the blueberry orchard before I came out to run, and I forgot to change my shoes.